Welcome to the revolution.
Welcome to the revolution. I am at Nitka32 on Twitter, and this is our first podcast for the fantasy season. Week 1 is officially over. For some of us, we're saying thank God. For some of us, we're celebrating. I'm in 5 competitive leagues. I ended up going 2 and 3. Had some Monday night issues. Matt Bryant, especially, and Matt Ryan. So I was up by 30. Ended up losing by 4. A couple things I wanted to address right out of the gates. You know, a lot of you look at your lineups and you look at your bench every week and you say to yourself, man, if I just would have started that guy. No, I don't do that too much. This week I'm going to do it, and I'm going to tell you why. This is my rationale behind it, I guess. If you have a guy in your lineup the entire week, and a guy that you're targeting, you're looking at him and saying, okay, I'm going with this guy in my flex spot, my receiver, my running back position, whatever, and then at the last second you pull him out because you heard something on TV, or maybe you like the matchup a little bit more, and you put him in and end up backfiring. And for me, this week it was Danny Woodhead, and I had Danny Woodhead in my flex spot the entire week, and it's a full point PPR league. So I heard good things about him this offseason. You know, he's going to be in there on third downs, he's going to catch passes, and then at the last second I decided to go with Pierre Garçon, who actually had a pretty good day, but I do like the Kirk Cousins quarterback, at quarterback better than RG3, so I thought that was a good move, and I made the move, ended up losing by 4, and Woodhead had 22, Pierre Garçon had like 13, so that actually cost me the game. So those are the ones that I actually kicked myself. A lot of the times though, I mean, unless you're truly thinking about putting in a player and you don't go with your gut, and my advice is go with your gut. I mean, a lot of the time, I mean, if there's a tie, I mean, just go with your gut. You can do so much research, but a lot of the times it's like you just got to make a decision and go with it. So if you go against your gut and it ends up backfiring, that's the ones that those are the ones that hurt you. So real quick here, let's just jump into some stuff. So I wanted to talk a little bit here about some upcoming free agent pickups. I'm in a couple of deep leagues. I'm in a 14-team league. I'm also in an 8-team league. So I could see the free agents. I could see the broad, perspective of the free agents. So if you're in a tight end specific league, like if you play a tight end, I have 2 leagues where we don't play a tight end. You can, but he's more of a wide receiver / tight end. Top free agent this week, Tyler Eifert. So I in 5 of my leagues, I'm rolling with Travis Kelce. In 4 of them, the only league I couldn't get Kelce is because he went around before. I ended up drafting Tyler Eifert in like round 13 or 14. So he was high on my radar if I couldn't get Travis Kelce. So in my 8-team league, he's actually gone, believe it or not. But in my 14-team league, he's actually there, and that's probably because we don't have a specific tight end spot. So I like him this week. Watch him, and if Brandon Coleman's sitting out there, I like Brandon Coleman from New Orleans. He has a nice matchup with Tampa Bay, and I truly think that eventually he will take over that spot for Marcus Colston if Colston goes down. Probably the number 1 free agent pickup this week is obviously Terrence Williams from the Cowboys. Des Bryant out 4 to 6 weeks, although I heard some good things yesterday that he's going to start working out in 3 weeks. So I like Terrence Williams. Go get Dante Moncrief from Indianapolis if he's still there. Obviously T.Y. Hilton is going to be out for a few weeks. And then a couple that are there not because of injury, Dion Lewis. Although I tend to stay away from the New England running back situation just because it could be a mess. But if Dion Lewis is out there, they have a favorable matchup this week. And then a couple of guys that are on my radar, Percy Harvin from Buffalo. And he's a name, but in a lot of leagues he wasn't drafted. And then David Johnson from Arizona is intriguing to me because a lot of people are going out there and they're going to grab Chris Johnson. Because going after the name, go get David Johnson instead. If somebody's going out and they're bidding and going to get Chris Johnson, go sneak behind him, go grab David Johnson. He's going to be the guy in a few weeks with Arizona. I think he's going to be the guy this week, especially going against my Bears. So that could be a mess. Kind of something I want to talk about too, the don't panic type of segment. It's week 1, right? there's a couple guys that a lot of people tend to panic about, and I got a list of about 4 or 5 guys. The first one, Peyton Manning. Let's not panic right now on Peyton Manning. There's no way you can look at matchups on Manning. I have him in 60% of my leagues, so 3 out of the 5. I'm not going to do anything with him this week. I'm going to pencil him in. He's in. A couple of leagues, I got Romo as my backup, and I got Phillip Rivers. I'm not even looking at that right now. He's in there. I'm going with it. Now if we get to week 4 or 5, he's still struggling, then we start thinking about that. Greg Olsen from Carolina. I think he had 1 catch for 12 yards. Don't panic there. If you're in a tight end league, stick him. My 14T league, he's one of my receivers. I'm not doing anything with that. I'm leaving him in there. And on the same team, Devin Funchess. Somebody's got to get the targets there. So it's going to be one of those 2 guys going forward. Brandon Cooks, don't you worry about him. He'll be fine. CJ Anderson, another Denver guy. Let's wait on him. Stick him in there if he's healthy, of course. He got a little banged up. Adrian Peterson, obviously, I shouldn't even have to say that. And then lastly, the Baltimore Ravens offense. Let's be patient with them a little bit. Joe Flacco, Justin Forsett. Their receivers are a little weak. I really don't like Steve Smith Sr. this year. So let's just be patient with them, especially Justin Forsett. I mean, I don't actually have his numbers in front of me, but let's watch out for him. Guys to sit or at least watch this week. Benny Cunningham from St. Louis. If Trey Mason comes back, it's going to cut into his workload. And then when Todd Gurley comes back, Cunningham you might as well release. Like I said, I talked a little bit about Chris Johnson. I don't like that. I don't like Isaiah Crowell versus Tennessee, believe it or not, because I like Duke Johnson a lot. And Isaiah Crowell has a couple more weeks where he's going to struggle, man. Duke Johnson's going to be in there. And then watch out for Amari Cooper against Baltimore. That can be devastating this week. I don't even know who the Raiders' backup quarterback is. I haven't even looked it up. But I don't like Amari Cooper this week. And then definitely some guys to look at to start this week. Alex Smith. I'm a big fan of the Kansas City offense, so I like Alex Smith. Watch out for Marcus Mariota. I actually grabbed him in another league because I want to see what he's going to do. He only threw for 200 yards, like 202, but he had 4 touchdowns, so let's see what he's going to do. Mike Evans, let's watch on Mike Evans. I'm high on David Johnson. Like I said, I'm actually high on the entire Arizona offense. Carson Palmer, if he's sitting out there, he's one of my top free agent pickups as well. I didn't mention before. Go get him. And then Andre Johnson, and he could be actually on the don't panic list for me too. It's not necessarily true that he's going to be going up against Darrelle Revis this week, but I like Andre Johnson, especially with T.Y. out. So let's go with that. A couple other guys, Kendall Wright, who you could actually, there's a couple leagues you might be able to pick him up. 10-team leagues, he might be available. They're going against Cleveland. And then watch out for this guy one more week, D'Angelo Williams. If he's out there, he shouldn't be at this point. Start him this week against the 49ers. Next week, it's a different story. Le'Veon Bell will be back. So, might want to, you still hang on to him, especially if you have Le'Veon Bell. But if you don't, you can have that'll be a roster spot for you. So that's all I got right now. And week 1 was okay for me. I really wish I would have got the win in my big league, but stuff happens in fantasy, so I'm already halfway to my total amount of losses that I had last year in that league, and it should be good. My 8-team league on Yahoo, it's actually pretty competitive. I know a lot of guys are pretty knowledgeable in that league. I actually did very well, so thanks. That was the Tyler Eifert league. And then I actually started Manning, and I still ended up scoring 140 points, and that is a non-PPR. So that's one of the 2 leagues I play in that are not PPR, which is kind of old school, I think, at this point. I mean, if you're not in a PPR league, you should really talk to the commissioner next year and incorporating some kind of a PPR, just the way the league is going and how passing goes. So it's definitely pretty much the standard, I think, at this point. When somebody says standard league, you would think PPR. That's all I got right now. If you need anything, hit me up on Twitter with your lineup questions this week. I'm at Nitka32, and I will respond to you on that, and we'll get through this week. All right, guys. I will talk to you next time.